Anambra State was the center stage of conversation yesterday because the governor, typical of his nature, by the way, because I have personally witnessed his involvement in things. He's not one to sit in high offices and dish out commands and directions. This is not going to be the first time that Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo is stepping out, going into the field to watch compliance level for himself, to speak to the people, to have a one-on-one interaction. As a matter of fact, the last time he came to Main Market, a week after he closed down, he gave the 1 week suspension. He came down to see if compliance level had improved. He went into some shops, did business with the traders, bought things from them, and even told them, I'm the governor, but I'm going to bargain, because, it's a marketplace and everybody has the right to bargain. And so being the governor doesn't take away the right. The interaction, his ability to just be a part of the system that he runs, showing that he is actually in all spheres, a part of it, is one thing that I'd give to him. And so yesterday, again, he was on the field. He paid a surprise visit to the secretariat, the civil service secretariat, and unfortunately, a lot of the staff were not on seat by 10:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. is already mid-morning, heading into afternoon, and it is really, really sad that things like this still happen in 2026. Unfortunately, it was the civil service secretariat staff yesterday. It might be another parastatal admin staff the next time he decides to storm the field. But the key thing is that laxity in civil service, in government offices, is what the government of Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo is not willing to put up with going forward. And he demonstrated that by handing down punishment to the defaulting civil servants. We're going to make sense of that as we proceed on today's edition of the Polity. Good morning to you and welcome. APC convention is set to happen, and we have over 8,450 delegates convened in Abuja, 32 state governors. That we're expecting about 10,000 delegates. 8,450 as a pass. We'd make sense of all of that and more. Welcome. I am Chisom Chinedu. Franklin Ebuka is here as well. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Chisom, and good morning to everybody. Interestingly, the APC National Convention is going to make some civil servants in Abuja to stay at home today because some of the roads leading to some of their complexes are going to be blocked. So the Federal Civil Service has given directive that they should stay at home and work today. So I don't know if that is a good omen that politics is going to force workers to stay out of their office. Then on the other side, you mentioned what happened yesterday. I can recall that when I was on program with Tony yesterday, we broke the news that the governor was at the secretariat, and we were expecting things like this to happen, that we're going to bring the details today. So of course we have seen what the outcome is. And since that very visit to the Jerome Udoji Secretariat, I must say that I have read plenty of commentaries from different quarters, different opinions, divergent views, people defending the action, people trying to criticize the governor for what he did. Like you said, by the time we get into the analysis, we'll be able to put up all these things so that we look at them based on their merits. And then yesterday, I saw that the Chief of Defense Staff General Olufemi Oluyede, he came under fire. No thanks to what he said. He was trying to defend the what's it called again? The program that federal government is running for a repentant Boko Haram insurgent, the one they call deradicalization. He tried to compare it to the prodigal son in the Bible, who took part of the father's wealth, went and squandered it. When he came back, asked for forgiveness, and he was forgiven. And people didn't find it funny that he was trying to, compare apples and oranges. They said a terrorist who has fought against the state, a terrorist who has killed people, and you are saying that the person has repented and you want to bring the person back to society. And people were trying to draw this comparison that a terrorist is quite different from a mere criminal, because a terrorist undergoes different kinds of reformation, indoctrination before he goes into what he's doing, when you compare that to a mere criminal. So that is the people didn't find it funny to to launch an attack on him based on that statement that he made. Then in Abia State too, I went on X. I saw a raging conversation about what happened in Abia State 2 days ago, because 2 days ago, Abia State governor actually commissioned a certain company in that very state. It's a beverage producing company, which was brought into the state by there's one particular group that brought that very business. It's known as Ultimate Beverages Limited. They cited their company in Osisioma Industrial Layout in Abia State. So Abia governor actually made a post about this on his X handle. And guess what? People who are fan of Abia governor, they went on rampage praising him that he's doing wonders, doing marvelously well. They began to mention the number of roads he has constructed, the environment he's creating for business to thrive, and what have you. Before you know it, it almost became like a Yoruba Igbo conversation on Twitter. Before you knew it, some Yoruba netizens, they began to do comparison between Ogun State and the Abia State. They are saying Abia just had one company coming to Abia State to do beverages, whereas Ogun State has hundreds of them, and people are making noise, what have you not. And it left me wondering why every conversation we have in this very country always tilts towards tribalism. I don't know why we have sunk to this very level that we can't have the same conversation anymore without bringing the issue of tribalism. Honestly, it worries me. I was telling somebody that I know I went off from Twitter for some time because of the toxicity. But now I'm trying to get back because I can't afford to stay off because of the kind of information I get there. But each time you get there, you see that level of, toxic environment that always affects your mental balance. I just hope that we'll be able to, of course, know that we have a common enemy and be able to come together and fight the common enemy rather than fighting ourselves.
I'd rather not stay off platforms like Twitter because, like you said, the quality of information, the exposés and all of that is enough reason. Pick what you want to pick and ignore the rest. But you see that idea of everything being compared along tribalistic lines, it's a very bad thing in Nigeria. It happens across all social media platforms. Marriages, behavior of people, they drag Igbo men, they are dragging the Soko men. It's always one thing being compared or another. And the ethnic comparison, it's not a good thing, especially where we are trying to work towards a better Nigeria. The common enemy here, more often than not, would be the politicians who, regardless of their ethnic belonging, are the ones who are supposed to make our common patrimony get to everyone, be of good usage to everyone. They are the people that we actually have a problem with and shouldn't be, with each other. Like Dr. Tony Olisambeki is also here. He's going to be making sense of all of the developments today. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning to you, Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, in the Anambra. Good morning, in the Onitsha. Good morning, in the Osumo. Good morning, in the Oloyibo. ndị ọrụ aka,
Ndi no suspension.
the professionals across different fields, even those we've not been able to mention. Most times we do mention the ones that usually come to our mind, but we know that those who are doing essentially well, exceedingly well, providing services. Most times when we come here, I do appreciate people that do well. So it wouldn't be that you are saying this because this person is involved or this person is not involved. I do. In fact, the last time we were here, I did say I appreciated the pensioners, and I call them our senior citizens. And I say that those I'm appreciating are those that did well while they were in service. I'm not going to appreciate those that did not do well. So you find out that I value service, no matter what. So we must keep appreciating the good ones at all levels, the good ones, not the bad ones. And we thank God Almighty for His mercy, for His love, for His kindness, for blessings. Each day we wake up is a blessing. I've always said it. You look left, you look right, you find out that you are blessed. If you think otherwise, go to different mortuaries. You will see those who are finer than you, better than you, in every sense, but are lying motionless. You see why you should be grateful, thankful, not because you are this, not because of that. So we thank God for all He has been doing in our lives, and we keep praying that it's going to get better. And that's our prayer. And we are here to speak the truth, the raw truth, because most times you have to serve the truth raw, not the way the other person will like it. Even no matter the bias, the sentiment, they can conscript it, they can designate it to be anything. But once you satisfy your conscience, that's the most important thing. Because I remember one of the quotes I've always valued: conscience is an open wound, and it can only be healed by the truth. And it's attributed to Usman Danfodio. The truth is, we are here in the altar of God, because here is the altar of God, where we profess the truth and nothing but the truth. You're welcome, sit back and enjoy the program.
All right, then we're starting by letting you know what the front pages of the papers say, and then you're going to kickstart from there to tell you what the major stories are and what we think of them, and of course eventually get to open up the phone lines to hear what you think of these developments. Do not forget, you can follow us on Facebook. Udala Radio 104.7 FM is our handle. Drop your comment right under the video of this show, and would get to read it at the end of the show. On our table today, we have Daily Sun, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Guardian newspapers. On the Daily Sun newspaper, the banner headline is IGP submits State Police Framework to Senate. On page 28, FG reaffirms commitment to secured nation. National Convention, APC assures assures Nigerians of high standard, expects 8,453 delegates. On page 26. Soludo orders suspension of workers without pay for lateness to work. On page 29. We will deliver durable road projects timely, Edo government assures. On page 26. Nigeria losing fight against corruption, NLC CSOs warn. On page 25. 32 banks meet new capital requirements ahead of deadline. On page 25 as well. And beside the nameplate of the paper, election malpractices, veiled trading risk to national security. INEC is saying that, or INEC chairman, Professor Joash Ampuito, has that to say on page 6. That story has two riders. Says success of upcoming elections hinges on security agencies' credible processes. Court orders commission to open its registration portal.
Okay, so over to Vanguard newspaper. We have the big story there that says 2027 support for Tinubu ignites fresh rumbles in PDP on page 5. There are some writers here. One of them says Turaki's PDP rules out backing Tinubu amid peace moves. No going back on reconciliation. Bode George Saraki, running one party system worse than infidelity. Bode George. PDP will field presidential candidate Wike's camp. We will ensure PDP remains platform for aspirants. Saraki. And the final writer says Kwara PDP leaders back Abuja convention. Okay, you will now see a picture story of Governor Alex Oti. He's talking about that very facility that was inaugurated in Abia State 2 days ago. It says OT commissions Ultimon Limited Abba plant. This one says Agabi Pandev demand 25% derivation Southern Presidency in 2027 on page 33 of Vanguard newspaper. Health sector crisis unions protest power grab reform bill in Abuja. Health sector crisis unions protest power grab reform bill in Abuja on page 32. CBN crashes ways and means to 2.8 trillion naira. Cardoso on page 19. Local government autonomy key to fixing primary health care on page 14. Who is saying so? Professor Adenike is the one saying so. Local government autonomy, if they get the autonomy actually and fail to invest in the health sector, that means it's not an automatic fix to the health challenge we're having at the local level. Then another headline we have here says high fuel price, low passenger traffic hit transporters hard on page 12. Oil price rises to $108 as Iran describes U.S. plan to end war one-sided. The story is on page 7. Yesterday, Israel claimed that it killed the commander who is in charge of monitoring the Strait of Hormuz. That they are making an effort to see that very channel is open for transportation of crude oil. So these are the headlines we have on the front page of Vanguard. Before we leave, there's one left. IGP submits framework for establishment of state police to Senate. That story can be found on page 9.
All right, then we're going to the Punch now. The banner headline on the Punch newspaper: 32 governors, 8,450 delegates arrive Abuja for APC convention on page 2. The rider here: government orders remote work amid gridlock fears. Convention opens as party rebuffs lawsuit claims. Airlines, hotels cash in. I was just wondering, Franklin, if it was another political party having a convention, would the FCT order government workers to work from home for fear of congestion?
Well, that was like almost like what I raised initially when we were doing our introduction, because being that there's going to be a convention in the FCT,
a political party convention,
and then some roads leading to the complexes where some of these very workers work are going to be blocked. Now, that tells you the kind of premium we are giving to politics ahead of any other thing. Because I'm just wondering why, physical activities at the office are going to be suspended because a party having a convention. Because had it been that we are in a clan where everything has been digitalized, you can say that somebody can completely work from home. But in this very case, once you are out of the office, you are doing nothing. The only thing that can happen there is maybe those who have access to be at the office, if they need you, they might call on phone and ask you questions about certain things. But that tells you, in our climb, politics is the height of everything, that it can be elevated even beyond the overriding public interest.
It's really sad. CBN blacklists top loan defaulters. Page 17. 2027 governorship inside Kwara APC's consensus dialing bar on page 3. Page 5. UK raises visa citizenship fees for Nigerians, others. Interesting. Right after our bilateral meeting. Ali to be crowned Ibadan Oba despite governorship bid. Page 7. Blackouts cost Nigeria 40 trillion naira yearly. That's from a report on page 17. Protests erupt as Venezuelan president appears in New York court again. On page 7. Those are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
This very report about blackouts costing Nigeria 40 trillion naira yearly. Of course, maybe if you look at it on the surface level, you might not understand. But when you sit down to do the analysis, get to see how much industrialists pay extra for them to get their own power and what have you not. That's when you get to appreciate the kind of problem we are in. Each time we talk about the issue of power, we can't overemphasize it, because if you get this power right, I must tell you, even the price of some commodities are going to be crushed, because people they start spending so much money, in running generator and what have you not. Then let's get over to the Garden newspaper. We have the big story there, which is on pages 4 and 5. It says Nigeria's heat crisis, power failure, fuel costs trigger public health, financial crisis. This one says NLC CSOs warn Nigeria losing fight against corruption on page 7. Was there any time we ever won the fight against corruption in this very country? Like since we became a democratic country, was there any time we can say that we won the fight against corruption? Other headlines. This one says Turaki appeals bench warrant as PDP faction forecloses support for Tinubu's re-election. The story is on page 3. Turaki is the factional PDP chairman. There was a case he had. He was supposed to be in court yesterday, but he didn't show up with no reason. And the court issued a bench warrant for him to be arrested and produced at the court in the next sitting. FG reduces power sector liabilities as NEMCO clears 2.16 trillion naira debt. That story is on page 3. I think yesterday I saw another video of the Minister of Power where he was trying to explain to Nigerians why we are having poor supply of electricity, and he said that as it stands now, it all boils down to lack of enough gas supply to the thermal plants to power the turbines. CBN slashes ways and means to 2.8 trillion naira from 26.95 trillion naira in 2023. That story can be found on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Only 249 out of 774 local government areas have pipe-borne water. That story is on page 30. In fact, if we check deeper, this figure might be too much compared to the reality, because I'm just wondering how many local government areas we have in the country where you can now go and see pipe-borne water. The water works in Abakaliki, which was working as of 2007. 2007 when I was in Abakaliki. As we speak now, people told me that it's no longer functioning. So I'm just wondering what has become our fate. That's why now everybody is sinking borehole from any point to any point. Then another story here says IGP submits state police framework on page 2. APC defends zoning consensus Tinubu's choice ahead of convention. It's on page 6 of The Guardian. And the final story says INEC warns of electoral violence, foreign influence ahead of 2027 polls. That story is on page 6 of The Guardian newspaper.
All right, then we're going to the conversation proper now. We're going to start off from Anambra State, but before we do that, do not forget we are live on Facebook, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Like, follow, share. That's all we need from you to grow the page and, of course, increase the reach. People actually need to enjoy what you are enjoying. And drop your comment right under the video of the show. And then, Tony, we are starting off with Governor Soludo ordering the suspension of absentee workers after his surprise secretariat visit. We understand that as at 10:30 a.m. yesterday, some persons were not yet at work. So he gave the order that they be suspended for 6 months. I am going to play an audio of what the governor said right after that inspection, and then we will go over to addressing some questions that have been asked so far. People have asked, has there been any means of regulating absenteeism, lateness before now? And we're not going to pretend like we all haven't at one point or the other been in need and having to go to any of these government offices and see how people there actually behave and how lackadaisical they are to duty. And also some persons are asking questions about the effectiveness of this punishment. Is it going to be in the best interest? Especially since they're going to be off work for 6 months. Is it going to be a violation of labor laws, due process, and all of that? We'll get to address all of that and more. For now, here Governor Soludo himself and
I came here some minutes to 10 o'clock, and I must say the good, the bad, the ugly. First of all, I commend all the conscientious and hardworking staff who shown up well on their desks and working yet belonged to the Secretariat. And we were told several. I walked in office by office, and then you'll be told, oh, this one is locked out, which means the person is coming to office past 10 o'clock in the morning. And that's unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And before long, the person will also leave. And so if you come by 10 o'clock, that's already 2 hours now of the 8 hours or so that you are supposed to put in for the day, isn't it? Yeah. 2 hours already gone. Now, and some might even come after the time. I'm sure even by 11, some will still be struggling here. So if you 30% of the day, you don't work 30% of the day, 40% of the day, God knows even how many times in a week the person shows up. But he expects to be paid fully at the end of the month. Because we can't have a service that way. And we're going to be very, very intentional about having an agile, effective and efficient civil service. And those who desire to be there are welcome. You know, we're an A state, and we cannot afford a Z civil service. It's just unacceptable, and we're going to take very firm measures. For those of you who are caught out, I've given instruction, they should be pinned off our payroll. They should be set on suspension for months. They're not ready to work. And we can make do with a significantly reduced number. Because if you are not showing up for work early enough, then you don't need the job. You're not showing up for work when you are supposed to be there. Put your head down and render service to the people. Then you would not, it means we don't need you. The state doesn't need you. We hire people who will do the work. We hire people who will do the work. So I think that's the only thing I can say. We're going to be taking quiet measures. I've asked for those who haven't shown up now. Let them go. And then, but we're going to be deploying technology and deploying effective supervision and evaluation. And when I show up next time, the supervisory departments, of course, the lighthouse is just 3 minutes of walk from my office to the secretariat. And I'll be doing this very often. See the workers working for us. Okay? It's better you have 10 staff who are dedicated, who are competent and dedicated, work for the state, than having 1,900 and something of them are not ready to work. What for? There are several who need the job. There are some who are eager to render service to another for the growth of another. And we'll bring in those people to work. Okay?
You know, something actually struck me when I listened to this. 3 minutes away from the governor's office, and people who work within the same geographical area with him have the nerves to not show up at work. And so, Tony, again, I ask, has there been a system of making sure that people are where they should be, where they are paid to be, as and when due?
Well, it's very unfortunate what we witnessed yesterday, and you asked, had there been any system where people should be where they should be as and when due over the time? I will tell you practically that is not always the case. It is unfortunate. When we are growing up, we are given the mindset that Oloyibo, you don't give more commitment, you don't give much commitment. When you see people hustle to be employed by the government, they will tell you it gives you space, it gives you freedom to run something parallel, to set up parallel business, and then there is promotion, it is pensionable, and other things that are attached to it. Now remember when the Governor Peter B advertised issue of work, many people knew very well that government work, maybe not as some big private companies pay. They don't pay us. These big private companies pay. But once you advertise government work, you see those who are working at the private firms ready to leave those work and do government work. When you ask them why, you are being paid 100% higher than where you want to get a work. Do you know what they will tell you? Why I want government to work? 3 reasons. Number 1, it gives me time and space. Number 2, it is pensionable. Number 3, it is something that once you get promoted to the highest level, you will enjoy till the rest of your life. These are the 2 reasons they usually give. But it's unfortunate that it has always been the mindset, and nobody has done anything as far as this is concerned. People have spoken, people have shown one concern or the other, but not to the point of effecting necessary change. Now, it was unfortunate that because most time many of us don't understand when we say civil service. We do not understand what civil service is all about. And we are hypocritical. Do you know why we are hypocritical? You go to Ministry of Lands and you are processing certificate of occupancy, and possibly you did not meet any staff. You'll be asked to come today, you'll be asked to come tomorrow. You will start lampooning the attitude of workers over there, over what you've come to process. And when government now comes hard on those workers, you will now say, why is government doing this? That is hypocrisy at the highest level. We
saw it a lot yesterday.
You go to hospital and you will not have a doctor on duty attending to your child. Let's use your child as a case study.
Please put government-owned hospitals.
We are talking about
primary health care centers.
I'm talking about government-owned hospitals. I was telling Franklin, it was last week, a friend of mine, I was in Oka. He went to the FMC here, and there was the doctor who ought to be on duty to attend to.
You mean FMC Onitsha here?
Of course, the doctor who ought to be on duty to attend to his son, because they rushed his son, emergency. But he wasn't on duty, and the call was placed, and the doctor kept assuring them that they should give him time. They waited. I don't know how long they waited, but they could not wait any longer. And that friend of mine placed a call and called me to intervene. What I did was to make sure that he see the CMD, the chief medical director, who immediately he saw him, he started attending to him, to the son, not minding the fact that he's the chief medical director.
You mean this FMC at Oka Road?
I'm telling you.
Because the chief medical director there is a woman.
That's what the person started attending to the child in question. So the point is, but there will be administrative processes while you were off and all that. When we talk about civil service, it is the framework, it is the fulcrum, it is the backbone of government policies, implementation, and service to the people. But that's essentially, there is visually any parastatal, because those you call civil servants, they work in ministries, they work in departments, they work in agencies, and they render service to the people. And when people come for this service and this service are not available or readily rendered to them, they complain, they groan. And you know what? They will call it from the low, you pay for it first year. Situations where you go to schools and you will see teachers. The last time we spoke something close to this, where some teachers could not come on Mondays, and we lampoon such attitude here. Some people have the guts to even defend those teachers. Tomorrow, they will come back and say that they don't know what they are doing, that the teachers are not available to teach the children. And you ask, you can't keep on being hypocritical because it is Soludo, it is Tony
But let's look at this punishment.
All
6
right.
months, right? Is it going to give us the desired change? Well, we're also hoping that this is going to serve as a deterrent to other persons, because like you pointed out, this madness isn't restricted to the civil service secretariat. You mentioned schools. Or go to tertiary institutions. I once went to check my results. This happened just about last month. And I was told the person doesn't come to work on Fridays. Not because Fridays are not work days, but because she doesn't come to work on Fridays, Tony. This is a government-owned institution, all right? And so a person employed by the government has the days that the person comes to work and the days that this person doesn't come to work. Unfortunately, these are the kind of anomalies that we have come to normalize in our government-run facilities. And some persons have asked certain questions. Number one, Tony, is this punishment going to really get us the desired change? Is 6 months not too much? Secondly, some persons have raised questions.
Did he mention
He didn't
6 months?
mention, he didn't mention 6
any
months.
months.
I was listening to that and he
He
said that
mentioned-
they will be, suspended.
Yes, but according to the reports that we have on certain parts of the media,
Now the question
Okay.
is, where did the report come from?
unconfirmed
Yes,
reports.
I think the media,
Many people started put-
added
post-
because yes. Okay, let me even tell you a story, because we were on this program when the news broke that the governor was at the secretariat, and we mentioned it on the program, saying that we expect something to happen. We're going to bring it today. So by the time we left the program, I had seen certain social media posts that the governor has ordered for suspension of civil servants. And guess what? And I kept following even people who were on the governor's team. I mean, media persons who were on the governor's team. I kept tabs on them to get information. And what I was getting from them was different from what I was seeing on social media. Because social media posts were categorical that governor had directed that they should be suspended. But if you actually listen to what the governor said, he said he has given instruction that they should be.
Okay, I just confirmed.
Yeah. So that's why I said
I
it's
just
good, it's
confirmed.
good you confirm, because we have to really be mindful of some things that people post online.
And so this news of 6 months
No,
is not
It's
the
fa-
case.
Yeah.
It's false.
Okay.
I query every information. I was saying it yesterday, but people should also understand that you need to fact check everybody. Fact check me if I'm saying anything you think I'm not. Fact check me. The idea is to make sure that we're on the same page. Now, the question is, I've seen different arguments by some people. I know for sure if Governor Oti had done this, the same set of people who will be praising him will be against Soludo for doing this. You know the difference? One is Oti, one is Soludo. That's the difference. But that's to tell you how hypocritical those people could be. One thing I want us to understand, why is it that most time if you go to most of these ministries, departments, agencies by 2, they have all gone, or you will see just one person. For those that came by 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., they have all dismissed.
I agree.
And I keep asking, what is the dismissal time? When is that time? From what I've been told, you must finish the
8
last
to
1.
4.
Some said 4 p.m. Some said, of course, you can extend to 5 p.m. if you have more work that are pressing, that are urgent. But we've seen attitude here. The attitude, not just that it is like a desicle, not just that it is languid and languorous. It has been a culture. Emanasina obona yabi febulu kusi abobolo mena nobulia. Aruba for obolo mena. And that is what it is. And now people have argued, how much are they being paid to the point to expect them to be at work, to be on duty every day? I've listened to such arguments.
And some persons have also asked, Tony,
Yeah.
transportation is expensive. Do you have facilities like free buses to cushion the impact of all
But
of
then,
that?
I've listened to that, and I was discussing with Franklin before the program. You know what we're talking about? How we started our own kind of work. Franklin reminded me that he started with 30,000.
Oh, 30. I started with 12.
He started with 12. And even at that, you were being punctual. You are coming to work every day. And Franklin was telling me he cannot afford not to be at work or on duty.
Tony, they're not a 10%.
When even that amount is so poor, even considering the economic
People will argue
realities.
that the economy was better then.
But if you look at it, at 12,000, no matter, even if it was during the time of Jonathan, a bag of rice as we speak then was about 7,000. And then you also know very well that it cannot go much more in a month.
I'll tell you, I wasn't feeding myself.
And you were not feeding yourself. And the worst is, you can't go for 30 days. But you were at work.
It doesn't even transport you to work.
He did not. But why didn't you also be absent? Why didn't you also at the point say, you know what, I'm going to choose some days I will be coming.
Or why don't we start Polity by 10 since transportation is now
Or
expensive?
probably by the time it gets to 12 or 2, you dismiss yourself. The truth is, we must call a spade a spade. We must be truthful to ourselves. And I've always argued, negligence to duty constitutes misconduct and cannot be equated with their condition of service. If you think you have a bad condition of service, there are channels. And the last resort is protestation. You can go on, protest over it, and tomorrow you go back to work. Nobody will punish you for protesting that you have poor, bad condition for work. Nobody will punish you for protesting that your service or your condition for work is not palatable. But you'll be punished if you are absent, if you do not turn up when you're supposed to turn up, if you dismiss yourself, because you're the one dismissing yourself. Nobody's dismissing you. Dismiss yourself by so time. And tomorrow, the same set of people will expect government, ministries, departments to function effectively. If you talk about cases, we've seen situations where some people say, oh, there are many awaiting trial inmates in our prisons. Why are they there? Because some of them, while they are still there, they are to seek the advice of the Directorate of Public Prosecution, and the people who are there, they are civil servants. When they dismiss by 2, and there are so many people languishing in the prison, they cannot process their file, or they dismiss themselves, or if you don't grease their palms, they will not even look at it, and people are there. And we condemn this attitude of having many inmates who are under awaiting trial, but people who should look into their files, they are marrying around, and we say, oh, because they are not paid well, they don't have transportation. We are hypocrisy. And if you ask me, the last I checked, the last person, or if you are if you're employed as a gate man or a sweeper, office sweeper in Anambra State Civil Service, your salary should be 84,000. If you're employed today, because you have not gone up in the ladder, 84,000. But for those who have gone up the ladder, most of these people who are complaining, many of them, of course, we wouldn't say we know the economic realities in Nigeria. Nobody would say that things are better. Nobody. Things are not even better. Ordinarily, if I should also consider such economic realities and find out that I should be somewhere in Canada, I should be in the United States of America, but I'm in Nigeria. The truth remains that you cannot equate these two things. And I remember the workers on May 1st, 2025, that was last year, they gave the governor award, the organized labor, both ATUC, NLC, and I said that the governor is the most friendly or labor friendly governor. And many of them were singing, some of these workers were singing for him at Elesekweme Square. They were singing for him, they were saying that he was so empathic, that he gives them rice, he gives them this, he gives them that. They said quite a lot of good things about him. They gave him an award, they honored him. That was last, it's not up to a year. This thing happened not up to a year. And now you hearing that, oh, this is this, this is that. I was saying, didn't you people factor all these things before you honored him, before you gave him an award? And before you were chanting for him, dancing for him? You were doing all manner of things because he wasn't checking you people then? Is that the case? And now he has decided to shake your attitude to work. And for you, that is not the way it should be. The truth remains that we are where we are because of our sins. If I were the governor, because if you look at Labor Act, I've looked at the laws, the labor laws we have in the country. Absenteeism is a serious offense. Query, because they will be given query, and they will respond to the query, and they will slam either salary deduction or suspension, but no expulsion, because I looked at the labor law. The labor law does not prescribe expulsion. It says if it continues, then termination.
Okay, can I come in here?
Okay,
let me come in here because just like Tony said, I have read different commentaries on this development yesterday, and I have seen different comparisons. In fact, there was one person who wrote that somebody in his private company earns more than a government worker in the state civil service and what have you not. I went through the engagements on that very post and I saw different things, And some people have been asking, okay, make space for those who are in civil service so that they can join your company and what have you. But all these things are just there. Now, I just want us to separate emotion from the facts for us to understand this very thing. Number one is this. If you are employed as a civil servant in Anambra State and your salary is 50,000 naira, it's left for you to know how to manage it. Now, how do you do that? The kind of apartment you are going to secure for yourself is the one you have to make sure that you can afford it. If you are looking for apartments, you try to look for apartment at where you won't spend so much money on transportation for you to get to your place of work. All these things are factored in when you are planning yourself, if you understand what it is. I'll give you an instance. This is my personal story. I can recall when I took a job in Oka. Guess what? Every morning I was coming from Newi to Oka to work. So as early as 5:30 a.m., I was already on the road. By evening, by the time I get home, it will be 8:30 in the night. Tired and worn out. I'll go to bed. 4 a.m. I'm already awake on the road. I did it for close to 1 month. My entire system changed. I emaciated because everything changed for me. Nobody told me that, bros, you have to find a way to adapt. Because then I was looking for apartment in Oka. What did I do? I had to discomfort myself. On Sunday, once I lived in Newi on Sunday, I prepared that I won't come back until Wednesday. Guess where I was sleeping? I was sleeping in the office. Because there was a sleepover house in the office. So I would just go there. I'll go there on Sunday. Do my work, sleep over. On Wednesday, I'll touch down to my base. The following day, come back, finish. Because I knew how much I was earning, and I needed to manage it. Because for that 1 month I did it, I didn't have share savings. And then plenty other examples. But here we have a civil servant we have civil servants who would prefer to live in Enugu and work in Oka. Then in the morning, the person leaves Enugu to come to Anambra State. By the time he comes to Anambra State, it's already 9 or 10 a.m. Before 2 p.m., he's already at Aroma trying to flag down vehicles going to Enugu. Now, when you ask the person tells you, my family is in Enugu, we understand, but would you continue this very way? I met a woman whose family reside here in Onitsha, but she's working somewhere in Ozobolo. And that day she said she was going to Ozobolo and she won't come back to Onitsha until, by the weekend. Because she secured a small apartment where she works at the company, retires there, by weekend she comes back to Onitsha. Because she knows that there's need for her to manage whatever she's being paid. But whereby people, by the virtue of the kind of comfort they want to give to themselves, they now push it to the government that this is the reason they won't be at work. The fact is this. That employment that Peter B did before he left office.
Yeah.
I was part of those who went for the employment. Mm-hmm. As of then, I was working somewhere.
Yeah.
I went for the exam. I sat for it. My friend, if you listen, he can confirm. Balak, all of us, we sat for the examination. When the job offer came out, I said, "What is the offer?" I was told, I said, "No, I cannot do this."
Right? Being there and being absent.
Do you understand? I cannot do this.
You were kind enough. Some persons are going to accept that employment.
No, the fact is this.
Do the databasing, collect the pay, and never show up.
Let me give you an instance. You just mentioned people are going to accept. I once had a colleague in the office whom we employed on full-time basis. That means she was working from Monday to Friday. Normal work hours. Guess what? At the point that she told me she was leaving, I said, why? She said she wanted to concentrate on another thing. So when I now probed deeper, she told me that she had an employment with the Anambra government. So while she was employed with us, she was also employed with the Anambra State government. So for those times she was working for us, she wasn't working for the government, but she was earning money.
That is it. I want to add up because there is no time. Please, most of these people who are absent, they were not absent because of motivation. For those saying motivate them, that's not true. They were not absent because of transportation. They were absent because they are running other businesses and they are employed in other establishments. You cannot have 3 employment the same time. You cannot have 3 masters the same time. Let's be real. Most of these people we are talking about, they have private businesses and they attend to their private businesses when they should be at work. Not motivation. Nobody should tell me motivation. Nobody should tell me transportation. We know that you can do other things to have multiple streams of income, which I've encouraged, but you must study the rule of where you are. Haven't. You can run agricultural business, like having poultry, having some of these things. You can also grow some of these things, sell eggs. These are things that will not disturb your work. Have you forgotten that the deputy governor of Enugu State was once impeached because she was running a poultry business? I don't know if you remember that period.
Yes.
But the court ruled
Under Sullivan.
otherwise, that the person is entitled to run such poultry, not commercial wise, but at your backyard. You rear some of these animals, chickens, and possibly by the time comes, these are things they work support you. You cannot be working. There are those who are working in bank, and they also have appointment with state government. They are working in bank. Let's be honest.
Okay, so let me just wrap up.
Sorry, what they did with the Empire scheme, Unko?
Okay. Let me just wrap up this so that we'll be able to, because I'm trying
Commercial
to
break.
I'm trying for us to understand that we should be able to, leave emotions out and face what the real issue is. Now, I've said it that you cannot say because there is high cost of transportation and decide on your own to absent yourself from duty or be late to duty because you are working in civil service, because you cannot do that in private sector.
You cannot.
Right? So it cannot be justifiable on this very ground. What you need to do is, if this is your situation, there is always room for consultation and engagement. How do we do this? Let me give you an example. There was a time in one company I was with then. At a point, we knew what our salary was then. So when the high cost of living was impacting us, we were asking for a raise. I couldn't come. We now sat down and talked to the management. Okay, since it's this very way, can you give us 1 day off every week? And the management agreed and gave it to us. I can recall sometime in Imo State, something like that happened, and government said take 2 weeks and do other things, work for 3 days. But it's not something you have to give to yourself.
You mean take 2 days off?
Because you are working in civil service, because you cannot do that.
Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you take that yourself without even approaching the management?
Do you understand?
In your own case.
So it's for us to understand how this things work. We cannot say because government is trying to, change the abnormality we have normalized, and then say government is doing the wrong thing. No. Now, what we need to say now, for me, I think what we should be asking is that the suspension should not be done arbitrarily, because there's a process.
There's a process, definitely. There's a process
which needs to be handled by the Civil Service Commission.
Exactly. There's a process.
So it's not just like governor pronounces, oh, this should be done. No. First of all, they have to get a query.
They will get a query.
They will have a chance to defend themselves.
They will respond.
After the defense, then we can now take up those very measures. That's what we should be asking. Then when you talk about the issue of remuneration, yes, in Nigeria, it's not just a number of civil service. Nobody is well paid.
Except the members of National Assembly.
And those who are working in national company. Let me give you an instance. Was it not 2 days ago, Piggy Best dropped a report saying that 3 out of every 5 Nigerian does not earn up to 100,000 naira. So that tells you that it's not applicable to Anambra civil service or Enugu civil service. It's a nationwide thing. If you ask me, do you need more money on your job? I say yes, I need more money, right? Because I have needs. But what we're saying is, we should not, because of certain reasons, and then begin to justify what is not justifiable. That is where I have a problem. We should not be justifying this kind of thing, because for me, I have had cases where I need to get something in government offices and I go there, the person is not on seat. You call the person on phone, the person tells you that for him to be there, you have to pay for his transport fare and pay for his lunch. In civil service, no, we cannot control that very way. If we want the country to become better, something must change. We must change the abnormality to become normal again. If
Absolutely.
not, we continue to live in this very mess.
And another thing I want to add quickly, because we want to finalize this, I wanted to put out this thing, because there are those that will tell their colleagues, they write attendance, but that's what they tell their colleagues. They go queer because they want their names to always be in attendance. They will not come. I have friends who are there. Many of them do content creation. They dance on. That's what they do. They have time for their content business, and they will tell. That's what. Do you want me to call their names? But the truth remains that we know our state will not suffer because of these people. I'm urging the governor to introduce digital technology. Of course, he has said he's going to do that. Digital technology. If you come in, you clock in. Cameras will be in offices. Cameras. Governor should be in his office and see every staff in every ministry, seeing how they work, how they push for, and how things are done. One, camera. Two, you must use your fingerprints to clock in as arrival. No more. I
think that's a system.
And then, thirdly, if you want to leave, the partial time for those that leave around 2 p.m. By 4 p.m. you must clock out. The same fingerprint. You must use it and clock out. When you bring in these things, if you have a genuine reason for not being at work, you have to get permission. We are not saying this because many of them will get to the position of directors. All these people you are seeing as directors, assistant directors, deputy directors, they began somewhere.
And they are not doing anything to check the laxity in the
That is
system
just
that they are having.
I don't know if they did what these people are doing before they get to the directorship. But you see, they are being given certain things to support their position. This is a work because this where we are. Most private companies, they don't promote.
But sorry,
they don't promote.
When I said that's
they are not even pensionable.
That's not the system at FMC. It's the system at another private hospital here in Onitsha. I think I've seen it in 2 private hospitals.
Yeah.
And then I'm now thinking, it looks like this system is a private thing. Isn't it the duty now of the government to establish a monitoring system, like you said?
That's what I said. Most doctors have their private hospitals. When patients come, they will refer patients to their private hospitals. Let's be honest. They will even take those patients that have come for either shake or whatever diagnosis in government hospitals. They refer them to the private hospitals and have time for them. And the ones at the government level suffer. Right. Teachers, they have private schools themselves.
Let's
they have private schools. You come, they will refer you to their private schools. We should introduce technology, check in, check out. Cameras will be everywhere. Because I must commend some principals who say that if you're a teacher, some of them will come and say, they will say no. They complained to me, and I went into the case. I discovered that this was a way to evade work. We must up the game.
Please, one very important information, because I saw figures people were putting on social media about how much civil servants in certain categories or cadres in Anambra earn, and I did my investigation this very morning. From what I gathered, somebody in level 10 in Ministry of Information might not be earning the same thing with somebody in level 10 in Ministry of
Education.
Yeah, that's true.
It varies.
But
people have been writing, putting out figure that this is what a civil servant in this cadre earns across board. That is not true.
Get your facts right. We take a break now. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's happening around politicians and our political parties. Keep it locked. It's the Polity, Udala Radio 104.7 FM.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Emerald Global Natural Health Tech and Wealth brand is bringing to you an effective health product where health meets wealth and is very effective and value-laden. And it is called the Emerald Elixir. Addresses ulcer, addresses eye disorders, addresses cancer, addresses prostate problems, and addresses infertility. Boosts immunity, provides natural antibiotics, provides natural antioxidants, relieves allergies, increases libido, controls asthma, controls diabetes, relieves arthritis, improves digestion, balances blood pressure. The Emerald Global Concepts Limited maker of Emerald Elixir is located at number 33 Iweka Road, Odabo, Onitsha, opposite Chibel Filling Station near Modebe Junction. And for inquiries, you can call their phone numbers. You can call the CEO Emerald on 080-6230-1834, 080-3326-1480, on 070-6820-3180. Take Emerald Elixir.
Onitsha ndị nwe ahịa, nke a bụ ụzọ anyị si asị unu daalụ maka ọmarịcha otu afọ nke nzikọrịta ozi Udala Radio dị otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. N'ọnwa Maachị a niile, Udala nwere onyinye pụrụ iche maka ịgba afọ ọhụrụ a. Ịzụta advert slot abụọ, inwe otu mgbakwunye onyinye n'efu. Ehenu ịnụrụ nke ọma. Ohere nke mgbasa ozi ahịa, ozi ọbụla maọbụ nke program ịkwụ ụgwọ nweta ohere abụọ anyị agbakwunyere gị otu. Nke a bụ ohere ị nwere ime ka ndị Ọnịcha n'obodo ndị ọzọ nụ ma mara maka ahịa gị. Gbata ọsọ ozugbo n'ihi ohere ọ pụrụ iche a malitere ugbu a ma bụrụ nke ga-abịa n'isi njedebe n'ụbọchị nke 31 n'ọnwa Maachị nke afọ a n'ọnwa mgbakwunye afọ Udala. Maka ndebanya na ajụjụ kpọọ anyị na 08033504206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị dị n'Ọnịcha na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout. Ya bụ inwe ike ịkpọ anyị na 08033504206 maọbụ ịbịa n'ụlọ ọrụ anyị na nọmba 5 Okono Street n'okirikiri DMGS Roundabout Ọnịcha. Udala Radio emeela otu afọ n'ọnwa Maachị a. Ọkpọkọpi n'ezie.
Nnukwu mmọnwụ abatago n'ọgbọ, nnukwu ijele nọ n'ọgbọ. Kedu ife anyị na-ekwu maka ya? It is the Curenza Curative Herbal Capsule, a product of SmartPay Global Concept Limited. It is a powerful herbal formula crafted to support your immune system and overall wellness. 100% natural with ultra advanced immune support. The natural power which enables your body to fight chronic diseases. It also looks at digestive disorders. Curenza na afụ maka ulcer, addresses arthritis, diabetes, cancer, kidney and liver issues, asthma, malaria, typhoid, heart diseases, hepatitis, sickle cell anemia, cholesterol, addresses colon issues, obesity and cardiovascular diseases. It is for total body detoxification and it also addresses poor blood circulation. For more information and distributorship, you can kindly go visit our office at Obebuleze Plaza, number 154 Oka Road by Ado Girls Bus Stop, opposite Anyama Cooking Gas Station, Onitsha. To become a distributor of this powerful product, Yabondi Cholibu Distributors Maka Ogwu Nkanka or Curenza. Visit the office at Obebuleze Plaza, number 154 Oka Road by Ado Girls Bus Stop, opposite Anyama Cooking Gas Station, Onitsha, or call the phone number 08060752900. 08060752900. It is the Curenza Herbs and it is in your land.
Udala Radio.